It is Pecha Kucha. Pecha Kucha. Pecha Kucha. Now, the question is, and this is the first thing that comes up when people hear it, is, what the heck does that mean? It is chit-chat in Japanese. That's what it means, chit-chat, to tell a story. Where this came from was in 2003, 10 years ago, two Dutch architects by the name of Klein and Dytham were in Japan, and they were saying, there's got to be a way to really do this different. We're born people with our PowerPoints. What can we do different? And they came upon the notion of telling a story. Think about this from a presentation point of view. What do most of us do? We put powers up and we talk for, I'm going to talk for 40 minutes today. Or we talk for an hour, or we talk for 3 hours if you're like me, Michelle, hush, okay? I talk 3 hours nonstop, okay? But the thing is, I hold them captive. They have to stay. They're my students. They can't leave. And they're captive. What instead if we rethought it and we told a fascinating story in about 6.5 minutes? And then if they were excited enough and wanted to stay and have a conversation, we conversed later. And those that didn't want to go could go ahead and go. Think about it. How many times you've gone to a conference and you had to sit through the 40-minute duration and wait and wonder if it's going to end up okay? What instead if I, bam, gave it to you, and you thought it, you liked it, you didn't, and you left after that? And think about student presentations. We teach our students to talk for 15, 30 minutes to get to the point. What instead, I gave it a 6.5, powerful, energetic presentation, bam! And then we had a conversation later. Think about if you're in the sales force. 6.5 minutes making that sale, and I don't have to take all day to go through it. Bam. If they like it, they stay with you. If they don't, they walk away, and you move on to the next person, and you haven't wasted a half a day trying to make a sale. It just works on both sides. So it's about telling a story in a dynamic way. So what's the purpose? To tell a story. What's it look like? It's easy. 20-20. 20-20. 20 slides, 20 seconds a slide, 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Think about that. 20 slides, 20 seconds. No more, no less. Here's the other thing. No bullet points. No to very little text. I want you to think about this, folks. Bullet points are a waste of time. Because if you expect your audience to remember everything they see on screen, they won't. That's why you gave them a handout. So they can take it with them, because they won't take it from the screen. And they've got to also do something, and that's connect visually. And we'll talk about some of those facts in just a little bit. So the question is, does it work? This started in 2003. 600? That's how many cities across the globe now host official Pecha Kucha events. I'm at Pittsburgh State. I'm the first one in this area, and I am a fully licensed and certified Pecha Kucha event organizer from Tokyo, Japan. I got the certificate to prove it, and we're on the map. If you go to their work site, the closest site is Springfield or Kansas City or Wichita if you go outside of the area. There can be more, guys, but there are 600 cities that hold 4 events. That's almost 2,500 of these events a year in which they have people come and share their stories. 4,000. That's how many people showed up in Tel Aviv for one Pecha Kucha event. See, in the bigger cities, what they do, they put these in airport hangars where there's lots of room for people to meet, converse, and hear the story. They have food, they have conversation, and they talk about an idea. Because the purpose of a Pecha Kucha is what they call the free flow exchange of ideas. So I get up there and I tell you my idea, we move on to the next one. So you might hear something about grandmother's doilies. You might hear about a house that I refurbished. You might hear something about a cause like in Japan after the tsunami hit. and there were relief efforts, and people were telling about what was happening in the rebuilding of Japan afterwards. It can be anything that your passion is about. And think about it, folks. If we're teaching our kids in our schools to present, we want them to teach and present with passion. It's pretty easy to do it when it's something you're passionate about. So give them an opportunity to present on things they're interested in, and then transfer that over to the workplace skills. So if I want to teach them about construction project or auto mechanics or cosmetology or culinary arts or nursing or whatever occupation I'm in, I can relate that. But we start with a story, a personal story. And what's the catch? No catch. 20 slides, 20 seconds, and you. Whatever story you want. Now, here's the thing to remember, though. No embedded videos, no music, no text. It's you telling the story. Because remember what I said about passion and the art of delivery? It's here. That supports the story. The story's not there. They didn't come to read your slides. They came to hear your story. So, when we present, get rid of those dumb bullet points. I have a famous quote. Michelle can probably quote me on this one. Bullets are made for shooting and killing people. Why would you put them in a presentation? Think about it. We kill presentations by bump, 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 and we have bullet point after bullet point, and they bore people to tears. Instead, let's do the right thing. So, how can a Pecha Kucha-style presentation reinvigorate the way you deliver training or deliver your message? Well, first of all, we got to know the rules when it comes to basic presentation skills. Let's stop and review some of those basic rules that maybe you forgot about or maybe you didn't even learn, and I'm going to share those with you today. Here's something I know, and those of you in Pittsburgh know the other thing that I'm known of. Instead of just Pecha Kucha, I'm the memory guy. I do memory presentations because I'm the guy that can walk in. In '88, I walked in San Antonio, did a conference, and I learned 350 names in 15 minutes and had everybody in the audience stand up and went through and gave them their name. Memory. And here's the truth about memory. We never forget anything. We just pile stuff up, and our problem is that we can't remember, we just can't tag it. Because how many times have you been walking through Walmart or somewhere and you look over and you see a guy and say, I know that face, I can't just think of the name. The reason is you remembered what you saw. And the last time you saw them, they didn't have a big placard around their neck that said Mark or Marcia or Mark, right? Okay? So what we have to do is tag that information. Well, guess what? Same thing is true when we're learning information from the screen. It's my own personal theory that the mind, forgive me teachers, but it's reality, the mind does not do text. It does symbols of text. If you don't believe me, think about the last time you read a book or a novel. Did you see the words on the page in your head or the story unfold in your mind? You didn't see words. You saw pictures because your mind is going, show me the picture, show me the picture, show me the picture. And yes, ladies, it's not just guys that want the pictures. We all want the pictures. We got to have it to understand and translate it and metaphorically see what that means. And so I'm encouraging you as teachers, presenters, and salespeople to take a look and understand that when I present a message, they have to see it. And if you're not eloquent and can use fanciful words that describe in pictorial detail like James Patterson or Nora Roberts or somebody in a book, then we have to do something else that will show that picture. And this is an easy way to do it. So 83% of everything you've learned in your entire life, you saw. Saw it in a book, saw it in a magazine, saw it on TV, saw it in a movie, saw it in real life. You saw it with your eyes. 83%. And I don't care what your learning style is. Everybody's base form of learning is based on the ability to see it. Now, the way they process it, the way they do something with it might use one of those different learning styles. But the way they get it and hold on to it and nail it is by seeing it. The other thing that we know, and we've learned that in career technical education for years, why do they say our classes are more fun? Because we do something in our classes. Well, guess what? The secret wasn't that it was more fun. It's the reality that if a learner is active in the acquisition of the material, they're fully engaged in the process, they will retain it longer. So your class just wasn't fun, it was more effective in the way it presented the material because you told, you did, and they applied, and they got it. And we ought to be doing that English and art and math as well as career tech ed, because if we'll learn and understand this concept that the more active you are, the more engaged you are, the quicker you learn the information. Okay? Passive learners don't retain it. If they're just sitting there looking at you, they're not picking it up. They got to be engaged. Here's another rule you got to remember. Don't clutter your screen. How many times have we gone in, we've seen a presentation, and that screen is just full of stuff? Facts, data, charts, graphs, all the bells and whistles from top to bottom. Folks, the human mind can only process one thing at a time. And we call people multitaskers, but that's after they've accomplished and mastered the basic task, then they might do something else on top of it. But as they're learning the basic material, they can only grasp it one at a time. So we need to keep it simple with our presentation. Now, before I said no bullet points or words, you can use words, but not that much of them. Let me ask you a question. We have a lot of teachers in here today. When I was going through school, I learned this thing called the rule of 6 or 7. Thou shalt not have more than 6 lines or 6 words per line on a page. Any of you ever heard that before? Well, you know, when you heard that, what people did not hear was the rest of the story. See, that was a maximum tolerance limit on pain. Because back when I started teaching, we didn't have PowerPoint. We had transparencies. You remember those? I had a chemistry professor, and it was the wind-up kind. And he'd wind it across, and he'd write in hieroglyphics. I couldn't read it anyway. And he'd write on there, and it'd show up on screen. Then we got fancy, and we got these sheets of film that you could run through the copier, and you could put your stuff off the word processor and put it right on the transparency. But you know how much those sheets cost? 50 cents a page. So us being economical teachers, we crammed as much crap on that page as we could. And that's when we learned a new rule, reveal. We'd hide it as we go down, right? Remember these? It was based upon an economical concept, not the way people learn. And so somebody finally said, you know what? If we're really going to do this, we really shouldn't do more than 6 words and 6 lines. If you have to. And people heard that rule and said, oh, it's not good if it doesn't have 6 words and 6 lines. Folks, that's the maximum tolerable limits of pain. The reality is, keep it simple. Keep it simple with basic information that they can immediately get as soon as they see it. This is not, Marcia, a personal picture, okay? But my point is, don't jam-pack everything onto one slide, because it ain't going to fit, okay? What you want to do is make it big enough to stand out for people to see immediately once they see it. Doesn't have to be filled and cluttered. And you know another thing, economically, teachers? PowerPoint slides are free. 100 slides doesn't cost any more than 20 slides. So put every concept on a single slide and use more slides. Because I can do a 100-slide presentation in 10 minutes. Just don't have to have a lot of information on each one. Think about it. Simplicity. Actually, my favorite version of this is Dan Mullen. If you go to YouTube, Dan Mullen does Death by PowerPoint. And he has this variation, but he's written it a sentence longer, and it actually goes onto the next screen. And so the last sentence is on the next screen. He's read all the way through, goes next slide to finish reading each paragraph. Don't use this as a teleprompter. Number one, guys, you guys are supposed to be subject matter experts in what you're teaching, right? So you probably know what you're talking about. You're probably even the one that designed the dumb PowerPoint that is now on the wall. So please tell me why every time there's words on the screen, even though you designed it, you do this. And then you read. Why? You're the one that made it. Don't you know what's up there? I have found out that professionals that know what they're talking about, if you put words on the screen, they go and do this. My suggestion, help them out. Get rid of the text. It needs to be like a billboard. Now, I got to pick on Joplin just a little bit. Most people that make billboards really understand this concept. I'm driving down the road, I see a sandwich, I get hungry, I know to go to McDonald's or Wendy's or wherever. How many of you remember the sign on South Joplin, on South Main Street, just before the curve, before Ozark Christian College? There was a billboard that was there for at least 20 years, and a church had put their favorite scripture verse on that billboard. It was 10 lines long with at least 10 to 15 words per line. Nobody to this day has ever read that full billboard. Except they went in the ditch or parked on the side of the road to say, well, what does that say? That's not the purpose of a billboard. Now, I know they were trying to spread love and good cheer. That's good. But not the whole Bible on a billboard. The same thing with your message in a classroom. Don't put everything up there. Think about this, guys. Even in the classes you teach, can you tell your students everything you know in the short time you have them? No. So your purpose isn't to teach them everything. Your purpose is to inspire, to get them to want to know more so they'll go park beside the road and read the rest of the sign. That's your job, to inspire and to instill them to want to learn more on their own, not to read the whole thing in front of them. Okay, I'm going to show you some examples of things that you can do real quick to liven up your presentations. Okay? This would be maybe a typical slide from a labor economics class. Now, as we look at that, okay, we can figure it's something to do with Japan, and we know something about something that's growing and declining, but it's hard to read the words because the words kind of fill in over the map. And it says, according to the Ministry of Labor, 72% of the part-time workers in Japan are female. That's a lot of stuff. I got to figure out the map, I got to figure out the chart, I got to figure out the text, if I can even read the text. Kind of. But what if I did this? And I had told you that 72% of the part-time workers in Japan are female. Do you not still get the point? I love discussions with my friends in the math department and science department that say, statistically, when you show data, you got to show bars and charts. I got to see the bottom line. Show me the fact or figure on the whole page that is the most important and makes the most sense. If I need to see the bar chart or the graph, give it to me in a handout and I'll study it later. I don't have time now. I'm trying to learn what you're having to tell me. Keep it simple. There's another one. When we were developing and learning how to use PowerPoint in media, we were told, add a picture to make it more interesting, right? We had text, we had bullets, and so we put funky lithographic clip art of a cow or a chicken to make it more interesting. No, it's got to be related to the topic, but we were supposed to add a picture. Ladies and gentlemen, they got it half right. Because the real thing is that we learn by seeing and visualizing. Therefore, maybe isn't it more important to show them what I want them to know and then tag it with a message so they get the point? So reverse it. Give them the picture, then tag it with the information that you want them to know. A simple statement. Makes a lot more sense and a lot easier to see what the picture was. Another fun thing with visualization is I don't have to do it with pictures. See, I said you have to see the message. Okay, some of you look at me, I see the message, I can read it. Okay, but what about your students that are have difficulty reading? Some that are dyslexic, some that are challenged. And I got to wait for all of them to get through it, right? I don't want to wait. I want them to get it now. So what if I simply wrote it this way? They get it just as quick as everybody else. See, half of this is creativity. Thinking outside the box. I've heard that how many times this morning? Think outside the box. We as teachers have to think out of the box the way we present our information. Not just up to the student to think out the box, but the way we present it. Because again, my job is not to just teach a skill. My job is to inspire and make them want to learn more down the line. Yes, Penny was one of my students 15, 20 years ago. She's coming back to talk to me this next week about doing an EDS, okay? She learned, you got to keep learning. Michelle Decree's one of my students, master's in HRD. She keeps learning every day. That's why she came to this summit. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not our job to teach them everything they know. Because I bet you $1 if I went back to Michelle and asked her, well, what did you think of lesson 3 in that class? She'd go, huh? And she's one of my better students. Okay? But if I asked her about the concept or the thought of HR, I know she's got it. Because she does a heck of a good job here in Joplin. Ladies and gentlemen, the point is to help your audience see the message. Because if they can see the message, they will get the message. Oh, so